right, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in for another Stay Fligh podcast. I got the Mr. William Prince here from Legally Rooted, one of the head bud tenders over there, one of the family. Dispensary that I regularly shop at. I think you see me there once in a while.
Yeah.
I still hold my patient card. Just recently renewed that. But I'll let you do a little intro yourself.
Oh, appreciate it, Joe. Yeah, I'm William Prince. I'm one of the bud tender / dispensary technicians over at Legally Rooted. I was the first. Been there since grand opening day, January 27th of last year. And it's been a wild ride the past year and a half. I mean, I'm sure y'all have experienced a similar whirlwind.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Definitely a wild ride.
We started from just 12 different strains of flower from one cultivator to, I got a head count of 681 from 13 or 14 different cultivators.
Holy shit.
And so, like, trying to keep track of that, like, in each different, like, terpene profile or cannabinoid profile or anecdotal evidence you'll hear from card holders that have purchased that product in the past and everything in between. But yeah, that's what I do every day. I'm the person that is the point of contact from the cannabis industry to the general population of card holders that exist. And so every part of this industry is important, whether it's the cultivator or the tester, the lawmaker, the person who's packaging. What's important about being a bud tender or dispensary technician is that you are kind of representing every cultivator.
Yep.
and like all of the knowledge that goes into what makes a cannabis product what it is and what makes it effective medicine. And so I take that job very seriously.
What are some of the common questions that you get from patients when they come in on their first visit, for example? I know we just talked about that off on the B reel, but
yeah. Most common thing. I wish I could say there was a most common thing, but literally every single person's different.
Well, what's your approach to the conversation then?
First, I guess if you're a dispensary technician and someone comes in for the first time, the first thing you need to figure out is, do they have any prior experience with cannabis? First and foremost, because that will greatly dictate like what you tell them, what you should or shouldn't tell them. Some people, you'll have a person that's been living in California for a while, so in a place where it's recreational and all that stuff's already there. So you don't want to rehash things that they already know when that conversation could have took 5 minutes. And then the polar opposite of that is some people that I know personally who had never had cannabis products before in their life, and they had like already middle-aged, so their doctor just told them they have like a crazy condition, and then this is what they should use, and you have to go over literally everything. So that's question number one is, do they have any prior experience? The second is, you don't want to just ask people, hey, what's your medical condition? Because it kind of gets into like HIPAA territory.
Yeah.
But you kind of want to, I have like a general script that I give people when it comes to buying medical marijuana. I guess I'm an open book about this. Usually it's 4 questions. What types of products are you trying to use? What time of day are you trying to use them for? How potent do you need them to be? And then what sort of relief or side effects you'll have. So each of those 4 questions, very important. The first one being types of products. If somebody comes in on a breathing tube, they're not smoking.
Yeah.
You can't even in good conscience sell them.
Yeah.
Right.
I would hope their doctor limited their card.
You would. Some people just but some people, they'll let loose that like they can't digest food properly. So
I've heard that.
An edible's not going to work for them, and so you're trying to get a conversation that really boils down to what it is that they're actually looking for, and then from there you'll have if you're like us and you have like a large variety or selection, you'll have a set of products that kind of meet that criteria. And then usually whenever you have that set, it's amongst a bunch of different cultivars. And so once you get it narrowed down, With those 4 questions, I can get it from 681 to about 5.
That's a pretty quick focus. Well, that's good. I mean,
yeah.
And obviously y'all been rather successful. Y'all had significant retainment of customers. I mean,
somewhere around 70 to 80%.
Holy moly, I didn't realize it was that high, but that does not shock me. I mean, y'all retain me. I come back just not once or twice a week.
We appreciate it.
And
we feel very blessed.
Yeah, no, y'all have done an excellent job, but I think it goes a long way. And like one of the things is every member of your staff, including yourself, I mean, I feel like you're kind of the lead on this, is really owning that process. And I think, one thing I would like to discuss with you or kind of educate the people listening is that, that's not something that you have to learn on your own. You can go to school.
There's resources for that.
What are some of the resources that you took advantage of?
Some of the resources I took advantage of back in December of 2020, whenever I want to say that is around the time that like the idea of Legally Rooted really became a thing. We were watching the presidential election in 2020, and then we had the state election up on the side at my brother's house. And me and Mike were sitting there, we're talking about, presidential politics and stuff, like brothers do when they're at home, shooting the, what.
Yeah.
But then I remember we had the state election on, and we saw Initiative 65 because that was something we were kind of paying attention to. It's been a lot of buildup for that going on behind the scenes for many years. Whenever we saw it was like 74% in favor, we just stopped paying attention to the presidential race. We're like, we need to talk about like what we should do, because there's no way we're not getting in this industry. We've been talking about this for like well over a decade.
Oh yeah.
But we decided in December of 2020, we went to Learn Sativa University in Orlando, Florida. It's hosted by Pat O'Brien. Shout out to Pat O'Brien at Learn Sativa. That's kind of where I got my start into the cannabis ethos, I would say. So like what are cannabinoids? What are terpenes? What does a business that's in like a retail setting do? What does a cultivator do? And like it was like a 2-day, 8 to 12 hour crash course across like both days that went over everything. And I kept a hold of those documents while I was pursuing my bachelor's in computer science at Mississippi State, and said, okay, I'm going to switch trajectories as to what I think I'm going to do for the next several years. And I started to focus on that, and I went online. There's plenty of good free online resources. I feel like if you're someone who's willing to read like medical dissertations and like crazy technical documents like that.
And that's where they should really start if they want to get accurate information.
If you want to get accurate, yeah. The U.S. National Library of Medicine, Dr. Ethan Russo. I use like his terpene and cannabinoid references probably daily. We actually have a stack of books. You've probably seen them at the dispensary when you sit there. Yeah. Me and Mike have went through it.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I have the green journal myself. I've noticed that y'all have that. I gave that to a gift to a lot of people this past Christmas. I think that's an excellent resource, the green journal.
Oh God, yeah. And then like knowledge of the cultivation side as a retailer, being in the retail environment isn't, I mean, you could say it's not necessary, but it kind of is, because there's
to a degree.
But there's like a degree of like necessity to it. So if somebody says, hey, why is this flower fluffy or dense? And you have to like go over, what are the different things that a growing environment does to a plant over its lifespan. There's a difference between a genotype and a phenotype. You have like certain cultivators will do this where they'll have the same strain, but it'll have different numberings behind it. And I'll have to tell people that's a phenotype. That means it's a set of physical characteristics.
Yep.
Versus a genotype, which is the genetics of the plant.
Yep.
The more knowledge you have as a dispensary technician, as a bud tender, is never a bad thing. It's always a good thing, because you don't have to necessarily go over it with a card holder at any specific time. But if you get, it does one of two things. It shows credibility to somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of experience. So they're like, oh, wow, this person knows what they're talking about. So I'm going to trust them a little bit more on getting a certain product. And then the person that's already an expert that comes in there and tests you
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh god.
and then you find out that, and it does happen. It does happen. But if you can get that person to like see that you're also just as knowledgeable as they are, they will also. It's like a good conversation to have. I don't know. I really love the experience. I mean, you get to talk to people from all different walks of life, at all different age ranges, all dealing with their own uh, what's the word? Ailments, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. One of the things also that I wanted to talk about is, so you've went through that training,
Mhm.
and then you're also responsible legally rooted for training other people that y'all bring on.
It's a combination of everybody. We're kind of a small team. It is a mom and pop store. I mean, you've got 4 part owners. You got most notably, well, all of them really. Every single one of them is necessary to have that business be what it was. You've got Michael Grace, Ashley Tony, Wayne Williams, and Stacy Williams. Michael, I would say, is a huge part of the behind the Legally Rooted, as he is an attorney.
Yes.
And he's a very accomplished attorney here in the area. Wayne is somewhat of a he's a social figurehead here in town.
Yes.
People know Wayne.
The unofficial mayor of Meridian.
He's the unofficial mayor, and he's built up those relationships with those people over the course of literally decades.
Yeah,
which is impressive on its own.
We've been blessed to have Wayne here on this podcast once before,
and then you've got Stacy, who I think is very important as far as the logistics of things, and she's very much like she will handle things that
she's like the backbone of the day to day.
And then her and Ashley.
Yeah, 100%.
And like,
I don't think I've ever walked into the dispensary and they aren't busy.
Yeah. They are always busy. They're always busy. Even on days that are quiet, they're busy.
Oh, I know. There's always something to do. There's always something to do.
And then I'm very proud of what everyone's kind of accomplished. I mean, training. Yeah, I do help with training. I generally, I guess I like to think that I've owned up to like that dispensary technician to card holder conversation, and that's like kind of like where I started day one. Is I hit the ground running. I started talking to people, and I like to think that I led by example. But I mean, everyone has their different approach to it. We're all different people with our own personalities and whatnot. But yeah, every single one of them, they do a great job.
Well, I'll bring that up because I remember when you were training Zach. And I guess, like you said, everyone was training Zach, but he was shadowing you. And I wanted to ask, for owners and operators who have dispensaries who aren't as blessed as y'all are that it's family operated, they have, they're maybe by themselves. They got to bring in bud tenders. They got to hire people from outside their immediate circle.
Yeah.
What would be the areas where you would say, the biggest emphasis for training, a new bud tender, someone that's totally green, someone that doesn't get the opportunity to go down to Orlando and go
sure
stay with Pat O'Brien?
There's a couple of points. Number one, I'll say number one is actually the customer service experience, and then number two is the technical knowledge. So you can be the most knowledgeable person on cannabis, and you could just be able to spout off the molecular structure of a crossbreed that was harvested on this day and has this many 0.01 milligrams. But if you're terrible to talk to, that person is gonna walk right out the door.
Yeah, exactly, because I don't understand anything you're saying.
Yeah, and then so realistic. There are times where it gets difficult. People are not exactly in their best way when they go into a medical dispensary. They're usually just got some very, very bad news. But
I've witnessed that, and not y'all's dispensary, but various lobbies throughout the state waiting to get into a dispensary. Someone comes in irate, or
just find out like they have cancer.
Or find out they are out of units.
That too. Honestly, I think that's probably like the biggest point of contention is like the limits on things and like how it was tracked, not necessarily how much. I do think it should be more, but that's the whole reason that July 1st is happening, right? Is that that 7-day and 30-day limit did not perfectly coincide with each other. And so you had this.
Well, so the listeners may not actually know exactly what you're talking about. Will you explain a little bit about how they didn't coincide, the issues that created, and what the state has done to alleviate that moving forward?
Absolutely. I don't know how much time. So I guess to start with, as a medical card holder, you are allowed a certain amount of cannabis products every 7 days and every 30 days as of right now. We'll get into what's happening in July here in just a moment. You're allowed to get what they call, it's kind of arbitrary, but 6 medical units of cannabis over the course of a 7-day period.
Yep.
And 24 of those units over the course of a 30-day period. Mm-hmm. And the way it is tracked is not based on a calendar day. It is based on the exact day and exact time you made that purchase. So let's say, let me clarify what a unit is before I go any further than that. A unit usually is considered 3.5 grams of flower product, 100 milligrams worth of infused product, or 1 gram of concentrate. Mm-hmm. And so just in terms, to keep things simple, in terms of, if we were to speak in terms of just flower, you say that's 21 grams every 7 days. Yep. If you came in on Tuesday at 4:36 and purchased at 4:48, because that's how long you waited in front, and then that's when the actual purchase happened, the State Department of Health is tracking that 4:48 time. And so exactly 7 days from that day, the amount that you purchased at that day and time becomes available for repurchase. It is not based on a calendar day. We thought in the very beginning, that's what we thought they were going to do. It's just like everyone's units roll over on Sunday.
Yeah.
But what they've done is, if you purchase, like, let's say 2 units on Monday, 2 units on Wednesday, 2 units on Friday, that means next week you have to come in on Monday and Wednesday and Friday.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of what the issues was at retail, because let's say you have a month where that 7-day week is only like, you switch from June to July, just hypothetically, and the middle of the week.
Right. So that was just a 7-day limit. So you have the 30-day limit. The 30-day limit kind of supersedes the 7-day. It is based off of a 30-day purchase. So there's not just a 7-day timer on the thing that you purchase. There's now a 30-day timer. Well, there's not always 30 days in a month. Some days have 31. One of them has 28, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And so there will be, like, if you're someone who purchases what their card allows, just about every month, at some point, you'll think that you'll have a set amount, and then actually you have like a dead day or 2 dead days where you can't purchase anything.
Yep.
And so, I'm used to coming in on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Well, now you have to come in on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Yeah.
That gets a little complicated. It's probably that's a huge source of many headaches for probably any retailer. There's
a lot of questions around that. A lot of questions.
Yeah. The best way, if there's any card holders listening to this, what I really, 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 really recommend is, when you go to a retail facility and you purchase your medical cannabis, keep a hold of that receipt, because it's probably got a day and time stamp. Look at that day and time stamp, see how much you purchased, pull up your calendar, whether it's on paper or on your phone, and say exactly 7 days at this time, this amount that I purchased, I can purchase this day and time next week. Or if you go to Legally Rooted, just feel free to call.
And then so that created some issues because there was some crossover. People were running out of their monthly before they ran out of their weekly.
Yep.
Dead days.
I deal with it every day.
So what has the state done to help alleviate that headache now for us?
Right. So starting July 1st, the only thing that will be tracked is a 30-day limit. So there will be no, from what I understand, is that there will be no increase.
No increase,
in terms of how much you can purchase each month.
It's still going to be the 24.
It's still going to be the 24
units, and you can possess 28 units, like always.
Correct. Usually, it's very unusual for someone to possess 28, but Because that means
There's a lot of
that means you're not using it.
yeah.
Yeah, so that 7-day limit is going away. And in theory, what that is supposed to do is allow someone to decide when they're going to go into a dispensary during any time of the month, whether it's the 1st and the 15th or whether it's bi-weekly, if you're going to come in once a month.
Just have that freedom. Because how many patients do y'all have to drive over 30 minutes to get to y'all's dispensary?
Oh, wow. I haven't actually done the analytics as far as how many people come in from out of town, but every day I'll see people come in from anywhere up to an hour and a half, 2-hour drive one way.
Yep.
And there will be, I feel very blessed, and I feel like it's really a testament to what we've done that people will choose to do that, even if they have another one that's closer to them. That
just opened up.
Right.
Yep.
What you'll hear is like, wow, they don't have the same level of
customer service or selection or knowledge.
Right. Which I'm not going to knock anybody that's in this industry. I mean, I feel very proud to say that we've accomplished that. But it is a bit crazy, and it's crazy to have to make someone drive 2.5 hours one way
every week. Yeah, no, agreed.
And then people who like are literally wheelchair bound or like bedridden or on where it's like a hassle for them to come in from a physical standpoint, having to come in every week just seems brutal.
Yeah, no, of course, and that's why we're very thankful to the state for opening that up.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you a question. And I know the answer, but I don't think our listeners will know the answer. I know that y'all been getting this. A lot of questions about this. So July 1st, am I going to have all 24 units available to me on July 1st as a medical patient card holder?
From what I understand, it depends on if you purchased anything this month.
That's the answer that we're looking for.
So there's a lot of people that have come in, and so it really does depend on how they implement it. Because I guess there's a non-zero chance that they just like reset everyone's tracking, but there would be no reason for them to do that.
I don't think that's what's going to happen.
I don't think that's what's going to happen. I mean, Department of Health is already dealing with enough issues. I'm sure trying to reset everyone's tracking.
Pressing the reset button might be easy for them.
That's for them to decide. But if there's been plenty of people that were already at their 30-day limit and were like, July 1st, I'm going to come in and get my entire 30-day, and I'll see y'all in August. And I was like, I'm just going to let you know. Pretty sure that's not how that's going to work.
Yeah, you're going to get 6 units back the first week, 6 units back the second week, 6 units back the third week.
It's going to be even more brutal than that. So it's going to be the days and the times.
Yep.
Starting about a month ago, you might have noticed with Metric, they started tracking to the minute, to the second. I mean, it's like, honestly, in my opinion, it's a little absurd. Somebody comes in 2 hours early. And anyways, yeah, so like the people who are actually going to benefit from this in July are going to be the people that it is actually difficult for them to get to a dispensary.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot more patients out there than people think there are like that. Yeah, I see it every day, people with canes. And I mean, y'all have a lot of patients that I've noticed sitting in the lobby that come in, with helpers. And
yeah. I literally, not too long ago, I mean, I had to help an elderly woman like into her wheelchair from her vehicle.
Yeah.
And, like bring her in and help her husband because he was having difficulty. But it's going to help those people the most. The people that are buying already the maximum amount they can buy, they can still get that amount. I generally tell people it's also ill-advised to purchase their entire month supply in one go.
Well, yeah, what if something new comes out? Or
you miss out on new strands that happen.
Or you find out you don't like something you bought and then you're stuck with it.
Right. And then even if you do like it, if your body's going to get used to smoking the same thing.
Especially indoor.
Yeah.
Especially indoor. What do they say? The variety is the fruit of life or whatever.
The variety is the spice of life.
The spice of life. That's right. So it's like, why put all your eggs into one basket when you can have 7 here, 3.5 here?
I generally tell people bi-weekly is the most intelligent because if we're anything to go off of or just based off of what I see, there's new products coming out all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And that process usually takes about a week. When you see something new, order it and they come in. So,
what are some of the new products? And we don't need to name like cultivators or processors or anything like that. We've probably had some of the people that we're about to mention their products on here. But what are some of the new products in general that you've liked to see come on the market most recently? Like I know there's seltzers out there and stuff.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
there's quite a few fun infused products.
Like the Mud Buddies or
Yeah. So a certain cultivator put out a edible product that was like the Muddy Buddies you get at a gas station. So they're a 200 milligram infused bag of they're like check squares that have been covered in powdered sugar. It's like peanut butter and chocolate.
The cocoa beans.
The chocolate covered espresso beans.
Yeah.
The seltzer cans. All sorts of wild things. The king is still always flower, and you're starting to see people see different cultivators branch out or really dial in on what their strengths are. I feel like Southern Crop has started to really figure out a lot of things because I've just seen like THC percentages and terpene percentages just rise over time. And people, I mean, you talk to these people every day, and it's a relationship. So you get to hear like what their feedback is and get an idea of how a cultivator's doing as like a microculture of like the entire industry. Obviously, I don't know if a certain particular, like if a certain cultivator is doing well or not based off of just what happens in our store, but if I can kind of infer that.
Yeah.
Because like this must have been what they had available, and I'm basing it entirely off of the quality of the product.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that's very true. But everything you just said is true because of this. Is even though Mississippi's not the biggest state in the world, but not the smallest state in the world, it is a very diverse state.
Oh yeah,
where the middle, the north, and the south are
entirely
so much different. They can be broken into 3 states. The south you can give to Louisiana, the north you can give to Tennessee, and in the middle you can either give to Alabama or split it off with Arkansas. I mean, it's a melting pot of different people. And yeah, I know that people are listening. They're like, no way in Mississippi. Well, come check us out. Go to the coast and then go up north, and they're completely different.
Oh yeah, go to the Delta. And then go to somewhere like Jackson or Oxford or Starkville, where it's like a college town.
And then end up in Biloxi.
And then end up in Biloxi or Gulfport. And then go to like Okolona that has like a population of like 400 people.
And then tell me you're in the same state the entire time.
The entire time.
But with that being said, your dispensary is a great proving ground for cultivators like us and other cultivators where we get to see where's the traction going to be, what's the immediate feedback. But at the same time, like you and the people that you work with, like Stacy and everything, y'all have validated a lot of the thoughts that I have about, hey, what's the patient feedback, blah, blah, blah. So I know a product can be good, but I don't always know if it'll sell somewhere like the coast or Jackson or up north because of the diversity within those areas.
From what I understand after talking to many different cultivators is that there's a huge sativa market here. And that's not the case on the coast. It's like indica heavy, and then up north it's entirely different.
I know there's a huge sativa market because every time I walk in the dispensary, y'all don't have any sativas available. And y'all ask me, you say, hey, Joe, do y'all have any sativas? No, I do not. Not at this time. September, we should. But, yeah, I mean, it's just wild to think about that this dispensary in Meridian, Mississippi is making so much noise. And
yeah, I mean, I'm grateful just to be a part of that process. I mean, I appreciate y'all reaching out to me and.
Well, I want to ask, how is it this turned into a whole family outing? That's what I'm curious.
Oh yeah, like how like the 4 owners came together.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't meet a lot of people that are like, one, y'all have any investors that no one like knows about, like they're just floating somewhere.
4 people you see there
are like the 4 owners. And so, but also you don't find a bunch of people that are married, bringing their families in and be like, well, let's start a cannabis business. You see that a lot in the restaurant industry and stuff like that, but like not so much in the cannabis dispensary business.
I think it really has a lot to do with, I mean, one can say nepotism, I guess, but I think it has a lot to do with maybe like Mississippi as a whole, because like you and Hayden talked about this on a previous episode. Like, there's a lot of like, especially in like the Southeast and Mississippi in particular, there's sort of like a community, like a communal thing. Families like know each other and look out for each other.
100%, yeah.
Like people go to the same churches and like know each other and know what's going on.
And then you got Wayne, so it's like
Wayne's just
everybody knows Wayne.
Everybody knows Wayne. Wayne's awesome. Yeah,
I love Wayne. Yeah,
Wayne's a wild guy. But no, as far as like how Mike and Ashley and Wayne and Stacy met, that's probably what I'm the least knowledgeable about. But I do know that like Wayne and Michael knew each other long before I knew that they knew each other. But I think that's just a byproduct of the fact that Wayne knows everybody.
That is true. I've had 2 visits outside of Meridian where they're like, where do you live? I'm like, oh, I live in Meridian. They're like, you know Wayne? And I'm like, I actually grew up with Wayne. I'm like, oh my God, dude, that's crazy.
I feel like Legally Rooted was a grand slam. And it's a quote like baseball, but I don't think it could have been done with any other 4 different people in this entire town.
But what was just sparked the idea? Like, weed's getting legalized on medically. Like, let's jump into it. And
so I can't really speak. I can't really put words in
someone else's mouth,
Wayne's mouth, or even Michael's mouth, or Ashley or Stacy for that matter. But I know that Wayne and Michael have thought about like being in the cannabis industry for like well over a decade and a half.
Well, and then tell me, what was your reason to get into this? What made you be like, you know what, I'm jumping in first?
I think it really started with when I went to Orlando with Mike and Ashley. I mean, I feel like my brother's an attorney, can be very convincing, but don't ever get in an argument with an attorney.
My dad's an attorney, so.
But yeah, so you know that. But no, when we. This is one of the things about just like success in general is a lot of it has to do with you see an opportunity or a window to do something, and then you just say, I'm just going to make the leap of faith and jump. I mean, and then I say that I really switched gears in college, but I really haven't. I mean, I was familiar with cannabis.
So was I.
but what I was not familiar with was just how impactful it is from like a medical perspective. And then like just the first 2 weeks of Legally Rooted being open, like the testimonials, I could call literally like 800 people right now that I would like know or have numbers to and be like, get a testimonial that will blow your mind or make you cry. I mean, I remember just like week 3 of being there, guy comes in and is like, hey, I had Parkinson's. Someone had to hand you my wallet for me. I drove myself here today. Here's a video of me holding my grandchild for the first time because I was just like, man, I don't care what anybody says. That's why you do this work. At the end of the day, I'm sure it's a lucrative business. Yes, there's a lot of success to be had, but at its core, you're helping people's lives turn around. And I think that was enough for me to be like, yeah, I'm committed. I'll die on this hill. Absolutely.
So, I mean, you heard it here first. Any closing remarks for patients listening, people listening?
Yeah, go out. I mean, education's important, but just have like a good, honest discussion with whoever your dispensary technician is. If you're the dispensary technician, I won't say that you're obligated to, but you kind of are obligated to know as much about this plant as you realistically can. That will greatly affect how successful you are at what you do and how much success you'll have with people, making like life-changing decisions as far as like deciding to use this wonderful medicine.
Yep, that's right. So you heard it here first. You can roll that up and smoke it. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Stay Fligh.
Thank you.